Spending more on a VR headset does not mean better VR. I know that sounds wrong. But right now, some of the most expensive headsets on this list are getting beaten on core performance by options that cost half the price. We tested them. The results are not what the marketing told you. VR headsets are one of the easiest ways to waste $300. The specs look clean on the page. The marketing looks even cleaner. And then you strap the thing on and realize the display gives you a headache, the tracking drops out, and the comfort is an afterthought. We have tested every headset in this ranking head-to-head on the metrics that actually matter: display clarity, tracking accuracy, comfort over a full session, and real-world latency. Not spec sheets, actual results. By the end of this video, you will know exactly what to buy at each price point and which ones to walk straight past. Because in 2026, price still does not equal performance. We proved that. At $1,053, the Pimax Crystal Light arrives with a spec sheet that reads like a wish list. 2,880 by 2,880 per eye. QLED with local dimming. Glass aspheric lenses. 16.6 million pixels total. On paper, that should be untouchable. So why is it sitting at a 3.4 out of 5 across its reviews? That is not a rounding error. That is a signal. The marketing here is doing serious heavy lifting. Pimax has always been the brand that sells you the ceiling of what VR could be, then hands you the construction site. High resolution means nothing if the software experience, fit, and reliability do not hold up the promise underneath it. And at over $1,000, every friction point costs you. Buyers report the kind of setup complexity that eats an afternoon. For sim racing and flight enthusiasts, the clarity is real when it works. But that qualifier matters. Who is this for? A patient, technically confident PC builder who already knows what Pimax is and accepts the trade-off. Everyone else? That $1,053 deserves harder scrutiny before you commit. And that is exactly where the next headset comes in. So here's the one that looks incredible on paper. The Bigscreen Beyond 2E. 108 grams. That is lighter than most sunglasses. 2,560 by 2,560 per eye on micro OLED panels. 116-degree field of view. Eye tracking with dynamic foveated rendering baked in. At $1,219, the spec sheet is genuinely seductive. But here is the problem. 6 reviews. A 3.6 out of 5 rating. For $1,200, that is not a confidence signal. That is a warning light. The weight is real. The resolution is real. What we cannot verify right now is whether any of that translates into a fluid, reliable gaming experience once you are actually in it, because the user feedback pool is too thin to stress test those claims against reality. That is not a small caveat at this price. If you are chasing the lightest headset on Earth and have the hardware to drive those panels, the hardware promise is there. But $1,200 on 6 reviews, that risk lands entirely on you. So that brings us to a product that actually has receipts. 5,821 reviews, a 4.5-star rating, bestseller badge. At $599 for the 512GB variant, the Meta Quest 3 does not ask you to gamble on 6 opinions. That number is a stress test. Thousands of people bought it, lived with it, and came back to report. That matters more than any spec sheet. Now, about those specs, Meta promises nearly 30% sharper resolution over its predecessor, and 2x graphical processing power via the Snapdragon XR2 Gen 2. Those are bold claims. But here's the translation that actually matters: smoother frame rates, text you can actually read in headset, and load times that do not break immersion. No wires, no PC tether, just pick it up and go. You also get 40+ games included and a 3-month Meta Horizon Plus trial, which softens that $599 entry price considerably. The one honest caveat: 2+ hours of battery life means long sessions require a cable or a break. That is real. But for a wireless standalone headset at this volume of validated buyer confidence, the value case is hard to argue with. So that brings us to the Quest 2. At $412, this is the older model competing against newer hardware. That should be a problem. And yet here we are. The core spec promise is a 1832 by 1920 pixels per eye display with a fast processor and hand tracking built in. On paper, still competitive. In practice, the library of supported games is massive because it had years to build one. That matters more than most buyers realize. A shinier headset with no software ecosystem is just an expensive paperweight. This bundle adds silicone grip covers, knuckle straps, and a glasses spacer, which are genuinely useful accessories, not filler. But the honest question is, does $412 make sense in 2026 for last-generation hardware? Only if you are buying primarily for that deep game library and you are not chasing cutting-edge display specs. Newcomers who want the safest software bet? This still holds. Anyone prioritizing raw visual performance? The price-to-spec math does not favor it here. Worth watching where this lands in the final ranking. And then there is this. $29. A perfect 5-star rating across its reviews. That combination should make you suspicious, and honestly, it made me suspicious too. So let's stress test it. The Haptique headset fits smartphones from 4.5 to 6.7 inches. That covers virtually every iPhone and Galaxy flagship you can name right now. The 110-degree field of view is the spec that actually matters for immersion, and it is competitive with headsets priced 3 times higher. Double spherical optical lenses with multi-layer coating. At this price, that is not a given. It ships with a Bluetooth remote controller, which means you are not awkwardly reaching up to tap your phone mid-movie. The PU leather face cushion is soft and cleanable. Small detail, real difference after an hour of use. Now, 20 reviews is a thin sample. I am not going to pretend otherwise. The 5-star average could shift, but here is the honest math. At $29, if it lasts 1 year and delivers a genuinely immersive 110-degree picture without eye strain, it beats the price-to-performance ratio of options, costing 10 times more for casual users. For the curious beginner, this is almost impossible to argue against, so here's where the money actually separates. The budget pick does one thing well and costs you nothing extra if it falls short. The mid-range option charges you for features you may never trigger. And the premium? You are paying for headroom most buyers never use. That is the hidden cost nobody advertises. Ask yourself, how many of those specs will you actually hit in daily use? If the answer is fewer than half, the step-up price is pure marketing. The tier list shakes out simply. Casual use. Start at the bottom. Frequent, demanding use. Jump to mid. Only go premium if the ceiling matters to you specifically. And the number one pick? It earns that spot on data, not branding. So here's the final breakdown. For casual gaming, the budget pick does the job. Don't overspend. Flight sim and racing players need positional accuracy and comfort over long sessions, so mid-tier or higher is the honest answer. Budget-conscious buyers, the value tire holds up, but only if you stay inside its limits. The number one pick earned its rank on mic clarity, build, and comfort data, not box art. The links are in the description with current prices. Check them before you buy. Subscribe for more no-hype comparisons. Links are below with current prices. And drop a comment. What's your VR setup actually like? I read them.